Welcome to Retirement Perspectives with Bob Horn. If your retirement picture is blurry, Bob and the team at NuVenture Financial Group can help you put your retirement into focus. Bob strives to understand all of your financial needs to help guide you on the path to your retirement goals. This is Retirement Perspectives with Bob Horn.
Welcome to Retirement Perspectives with Bob Horn. I'm Danielle Martin. It's no secret that women tend to outlive men in every country around the world. So how could this impact your retirement? Well, Bob Horn, the founder of NuVenture Financial Group located right here in Jacksonville, is here with me today to explore some of the unique financial issues that women tend to face in retirement. And a little later today, Bob shares financial habits that you want to break right away. Bob, it's great to be with you today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be back with you, Danielle.
I'm excited to get into today's topic because I want to dive into the topic of women in retirement, because whether a woman is single, married, or widowed, there is a number of financial factors that play in when it comes to considering how women approach retirement, especially whether they have a spouse or not. There's something about women trying to be involved in the financial factor when it comes to retirement. So how does this help or impact women when it comes to retirement?
Well, you know, Danielle, it's really interesting that Morningstar did a report a number of years back and that basically said, and it proved that women do live about 2.5 years longer than their male counterparts. Also, about 70% of the folks that are living in assisted living facilities and nursing homes are women. Also, you couple that with the fact that a lot of times women are the caretakers of their family. It presents some really unique challenges when it comes to the customized planning for women when we do that.
Right, and when we're talking about, while it seems that men tend to dominate the financial world, women are still involved, as they should be, right? But sometimes it seems like they're not involved when it comes to their finances because the men are taking charge. They have that relationship with that advisor. But talk to me about why it's important for women to stay on the forefront when it comes to planning for retirement, especially in case anything happens to their spouse.
Yeah, so this is a great question. So what we found typically is that men tend to be more quantitative and growth-minded when it's coming to their assets. Whereas women seem to be much more qualitative and about the experience, how they feel during that time. It's not to say that their concerns aren't warranted or they're not interested in the financial planning, but they approach it from a different angle. And so it's really important for folks when they're working with a retirement planner to work with somebody that understands both sides of that equation, because there's not one that's wrong or right. They're both very right, but you've got to be working with somebody that knows how to customize that for them.
Bob, let's kind of approach a different scenario. Talk about times when women are taking the back seat and men are super involved with their financial advisor, and then unfortunately, let's say their spouse passes away, and now the women have to kind of step in and take charge of those financial decisions. What happens when they're not fully involved from the start?
Yeah, so I've got a story. So a year or two ago, I was working with a couple, and essentially what happened is he inherited money from his sister, and all the money that they inherited was in his name, including the money at the bank they had. And so working with them for a couple of years, I always was constantly reminding them, hey, you've got to make sure that both you guys have access to these accounts. Make sure that both of you guys, the husband and the wife, are on the bank accounts, that there's some joint money that you have access to. And I reminded them of this over a number of years working with them. Unfortunately, I think it was the beginning of last year, unfortunately, he passed away. And it broke my heart, but when it occurred, he passed away, she called our office and needed access to money for the funeral costs and other things that are associated with it. It absolutely broke my heart because she was the beneficiary on the accounts, but she had no joint access to the money. So it took weeks for her to get access to this money she needed right away. And so it's really important that women stay involved, specifically with their spouses. They have very good access to their money to make sure that these kind of risks are mitigated in the future.
And kind of dive into a little bit more of what happens to, let's say, a woman's finances when they're not fully involved. when you take the scenario that you just shared with me today, what happened? How did she have to kind of get to the forefront, making sure that she was going to be secure in her retirement?
Yeah, so in that instance, what she actually had to do, she had to actually borrow money from her sister to be able to pay for those costs. So since that time, we make sure that both spouses are involved. In fact, nowadays, when I have a new potential client coming to the office, a prospective client, we typically don't move forward with them unless we've met with both spouses and they're both very comfortable with us. And I'm sure we'll probably talk more about this later on today. We have to make sure that both people in the room are very comfortable with what we do, our processes, and our team. Because if one of them passes away, we still have to maintain that relationship for sure.
That's right, Bob. We're just getting started with this topic today, women in retirement. It's our big topic. Bob, thank you so much. We're going to continue this conversation coming up, because coming up next, Bob explains how to get in front of the issue of healthcare costs to help preserve your income in retirement. And later in Retirement in Focus, Bob shares financial habits that you want to break right away. We'll be right back.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. Our current tax rates are set to expire in just a few short years. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Bob Horn. He's the founder of NuVenture Financial Group right here in Jacksonville. Now we're continuing the conversation about women and retirement. So, Bob, a couple of factors when it comes to women and retirement. One, women tend to live longer than men, so I apologize about that. But also, they tend to make less than men. Another factor here is women face higher healthcare expenses when it comes to retirement. So that last point, women facing higher expenses. Why is that?
Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit earlier, that women tend to live about 2.5 years longer than men. You're welcome. Yep. And so they're living longer, so they obviously have larger healthcare costs. But then you couple that with the fact that they're 70% of the people that are in these nursing homes are women. They're facing factors that a lot of men don't. So we can oftentimes say that women can be at a disadvantage, not only from a healthcare cost, that's certainly true, but like you said earlier, women, they will leave the workforce earlier, and actually a lot of times will get into the workforce later. Many times they're taking care of the children when they're younger, and they get out of the workforce because they are caretakers of the family. They're taking care of their kids, or they're taking care of their spouse, or they're a lot of times taking care, we find that they're taking care of their parents. And so they get in the workforce later, they exit sooner, and what ends up happening is their savings is not quite what their male counterparts may be. Also, Social Security, because men typically work longer in the workforce, Social Securities for the male average more than women. In fact, the average Social Security for men is over $1,700 versus $1,300 for women. So it's a big disparity. It's about a $400 or more per month disparity between Social Securities. You also add the fact too that if their husband or their spouse passes away, they go from a joint status when they file their taxes to a single status, which presents a lot of tax challenges at that situation as well. So a lot of different things going on specifically to women.
That's right. Especially when it comes to planning and retirement, a lot of women do this by themselves, especially after their spouse passes away. I know we talked about this earlier in the show today, but why do you think women tend to also leave the financial advisor after their spouse passes away? Because typically the men is having that one-on-one relationship. I hear sometimes they don't feel as comfortable. They don't really know how to continue that relationship. Kind of talk about, what do you see in your office when you have clients come in that are women that are like, you know what, I don't know if this relationship is going to work out.
Yeah, for sure. So we kind of alluded to this earlier before the break, in that many, many years ago, when I first started my financial advisor career, I had an instance where I met with, there was a married couple that came in, but only he came in. And she didn't come because she wasn't involved. And I actually ended up doing business with him and that kind of thing. And a year or two later, he passed away, and all of his assets were inherited by his wife, whom I had never met, not one time. I never met her. And it really put me in a really bad position, but even worse, it put her in a bad position because she never had a relationship with me. She didn't know if she could trust me. She probably didn't even know what I looked like, which is probably a good thing, actually. So, but no, she didn't know who to trust. So it really puts at disadvantage. And so nowadays, myself and all the advisors in our office, within our first 2 meetings, we will have had to have met with both spouses just to make sure that, God forbid, something happens to either one of them, that they have some comfort with not only the advisor, but our location, our staff, our team, that kind of thing. And it's really important they find somebody they're very comfortable with. Again, as we talked about earlier, women tend to look at that situation much differently than a man does. A man is more quantitative, versus the women is much more experience-minded, if you will.
Right, that's right. And as we're wrapping up this conversation today, Bob, kind of give me a couple more nuggets. What's your biggest advice for women when they're thinking about retirement? What do you want them to leave with?
So it's really important that they are proactive and they start this planning immediately, really. You know, sit down with your spouse, make sure you know about the budget or how the bills are being paid, you know where the investment accounts are, you know about life insurance, the estate plan, just stay involved. My wife and I, we don't do this every month, admittedly, but at least a couple times a year, we'll sit down and kind of do a general high-level overview of where everything's at, what's going on. It's really important that you're proactive and they're staying involved. Don't rely on your partner. Make sure you have a plan that's designed to meet your specific needs. If for some reason your partner is gone, it's really important. This is a great subject that we talk a lot about through our office. And we have an advisor in office. His name is Jenna Simpsons. He's a CFP and works very well with a lot of the female clients that come into our office.
That's right. So ladies, do not take the back seat when it comes to planning for retirement. One, you do not have to plan for retirement alone. Bob and his team at NuVenture Financial Group have a plan for you. So Bob, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Here's a list of financial bad habits that you want to break right away. That's next in Retirement in Focus. And still to come, Bob answers some of your questions. Stay with us.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. Our current tax rates are set to expire in just a few short years. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
Planning Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
In today's Retirement in Focus, we're all guilty of developing bad habits from time to time, but those financial bad habits can be costly. Bob, what are the financial habits that we should try to break?
Thanks, Danielle. So in this week's Retirement in Focus, we're going to talk about some financial habits to break, things that we often talk to with the families that come into our office. So the very first thing we want to talk about is being disorganized. Believe it or not, there are times when somebody comes into our office for the very first time and they'll literally be carrying a box of all their financial stuff. That can include investment statements and tax returns, life insurance policies, even some of their estate planning documents are in this one big box and they're just in this big pile. And it takes us a long time to kind of go through those and organize them for them. So the important thing to understand is that when somebody finishes their plan with us, we give them a little binder that's got tabbed out and it's got a lot of organization in it. It's really important to have an organized plan, be able to have things available when you need them and know where to get them from. The second thing to kind of minimize is debt, specifically going into retirement. So I often coach clients that there's two main things that you want to try to eliminate or try to do leading up to a retirement. Number one, save as much money as you can, obviously. And number two, reduce debt. So we want to make sure we look at credit card debt, maybe student loan debt, and paying that stuff off prior to getting to retirement. However, there might be times literally that you want to leverage debt. For instance, what if you have a very low interest rate on your mortgage? Maybe you have a 2 or 2.5 or 3% interest rate left over from years past. Well, you may want to consider not paying that debt off because you might be able to get more interest in some type of interest-bearing account out there. So there's times where we will tell you not to pay off a certain amount of debt. Another thing you want to look at are hidden fees and costs. So it's really important to know that value is what you get, price is what you pay. So take a look at all the different fees that could be existing in your retirement. That can be things such as fees on your bank accounts. It could be credit card annual fees, even your homeowners and auto insurance. You want to try to shop those every year to eliminate larger fees than you need to be paying. Inside of the investment world, we want to make sure we understand about expense ratios. Oftentimes at our office, we talk about fees that are above the table, your advisory fees, things you should know that you're paying, but there's also hidden fees below the table, expense ratios, things that don't show up on a statement. You want to make sure you understand those types of fees and try to minimize those as much as possible. The next thing is being tax efficient. I find a lot of times people come into our office and they're not being really tax efficient or taking advantage of the tax code and all the provisions that are in the tax code. So what are some ways that you can be super tax efficient? Well, number one, you can utilize Roth IRA conversions. If you're not doing this or exploring this concept, I would highly recommend you do this. If you are charitably minded and you like being philanthropic, you can utilize qualified charitable distributions or QCDs, and you can give to a charity in a very tax efficient manner. You can also utilize donor advised funds, charitable remainder trust, charitable lead trust, all kinds of conduits that are designed to be much more tax efficient. And then the last thing, for non-retirement accounts, you can actually do some tax loss harvesting. So use what's available to you to be very, very tax efficient. And the last thing, and I hope nobody does this, don't procrastinate. Do this stuff now. When that emergency happens, you're not going to have time to do all this stuff. So take care of it now, one by one, and try to get organized. So I hope you got a lot out of today's Retirement in Focus segment. Danielle, back to you.
A lot of great insights. Thanks, Bob. Well, still to come, we'll hear directly from you in our Q&A section. Retirement Perspectives with Bob Horn continues right after this.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. Our current tax rates are set to expire in just a few short years. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
Well, welcome back. It's time to get to some of your questions that you have for Bob today. Bob, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready. This is my favorite part of the show.
I look forward to it because this is an opportunity for us to hear directly from the community. So let's see who we have first. We first have a question from Gail in Fruit Cove. She says, do you recommend that people should take advantage of the catch-up provision and contribute more to their 401k once they turn 50? I don't really think that I need to put more money than I'm already putting into that account, but it would also be hard to pass up the opportunity to further reduce my taxable income this year.
Yeah, so this is a great question. So Gail may not need to put more money into her 401k. She may be pretty set up, but as you're cruising towards that retirement target, it's really important for a couple different things. Number one, to put as much money away as possible and pay off any debt. So we like to tell people, save as much as you can because you never know what you're going to need after retirement based on different types of risks, the market, that kind of thing. It's also, Gail, I'd recommend too that you should talk to your employer, your HR department about potentially utilizing the Roth 401k side. You probably have that opportunity, which is a great way to put money away into a Roth 401k, not the pre-tax 401k. And you can put a ton of money in those things post 50 when you have the catch-up contribution. So it's a great question.
Thanks for that question, Gail. Okay, let's get to another question from John in Rivertown. He says, I'm 65 and considering a life insurance policy to help replace my pension income in case my wife outlives me by several years. Is it unusual for someone to be buying life insurance at my age? Good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. And no, it's not actually unusual at all to use life insurance to offset some of the pension risks. Before we get into the life insurance answer, though, I'd like to kind of discuss real quick pensions because when folks are presented with their pension options, there's really two different angles that we look at. The first one is where they're able to choose a monthly income. That can be from a single life situation where it's only good for that person's life. It's usually the higher income. They can choose a joint life income where it protects both of their the employer or the employee and then also the spouse. And then also certain durations that they can have guaranteed income for 10 or 15 or 20 years. So that monthly income. The second choice a lot of times we see is taking that lump sum. Instead of having a monthly income, you can have a lump sum. Both these situations present the ability to leverage life insurance. For instance, Danielle, if you are taking a single life income, that income is going to be much higher than a joint life income will be. But oftentimes we see folks are much more interested in taking that joint life income because they feel like both spouses will be protected. A lot of times we can use a concept called pension maximization, which is where we'll use the single life payout, which is sometimes hundreds of dollars more. And with that extra dollars, we'll buy a life insurance policy. And so what happens is that couple can have the ability to have a larger income, single life income, But if the spouse passes away, what they pass away is a life insurance policy that they can use for additional income in the future. So a lot of times that works out really, really good.
Bob, it sounds like there's a lot of things to consider. So John, don't hesitate to give Bob and his team a call. Okay, let's see who our next question is from. Donald in San Marco. He says, is there a helpful way to figure out how much income I'll need in retirement? I thought I knew exactly how much money we spend every month, but now that I've started crunching the numbers, it appears I was way off. You're not alone. I know many people feel this way.
Yeah, so it's another good question. So this is a very common thing, so don't feel like you're not alone here. So one of the exercises that we often take couples through when they come into our office is an exercise we call the bank statement exercise. It's actually one of the easiest ways to figure out what your expenses are, and it's a simple way, and it's actually the most accurate way. And what we do is take the last 12 months of your bank statements, and we look at one number on each bank statement, and that is the total monthly outgo. Somewhere on that bank statement, generally it's going to tell you what your total amount of or withdrawals were. It's going to sum them up. So if you take that one number for the last 12 months and write those numbers down, you'll have 12 numbers, average them out. That was your total expenses for the year. Good, bad, or indifferent, it does not lie. Now, what you may find in those numbers is hidden there, some of the one-offs, some of the anomalies that may have occurred during the year. Maybe there was a big trip that you spent money on. Maybe there was a new roof that you had to buy, that kind of thing. Those are one-off scenarios. So take that out of the equation and just look at what it takes to live your monthly lifestyle. That would be your expenses. And it is the most accurate way to do it. And it's a very simple way. Most of us have online bank statements now. Right. It takes us about 10 minutes to do this. So that's the way we usually coach folks into figuring out what their expenses are, which is going to be the most important number really in your retirement, because from that number, then we have to hit a target of how much income do we need, which is, we shoot a lot of shows on that.
That's right. Okay, we have time for one last question from Sarah in Ponte Vedra. She says that I've had about 90% of my assets in cash for the last 3 years. I know that this is way too much to have in cash, but I'm too nervous to do anything else with it. So where do I begin to start looking for some conservative options?
Yeah, so this is a good question. So Danielle, we have a funny name for this. So a lot of times we'll call cash on the sideline, we refer to as lazy money. It's just money that's kind of sitting on the couch doing nothing. It's just kind of watching TV. It's not exercising at all. So we want to make sure that we get our money to work for us. However, I understand the situation where maybe you're scared about the market. We've had a lot of folks that come into our office that are scared about market risk. And so they'll take large sums of money out of the stock market and put it in cash so they can preserve it if there's some kind of market volatility. The problem with this, though, is that it introduces another type of a risk called inflationary risk, where if you're not getting enough interest, you may not keep up with inflation, so it's another risk. So there's lots of options you can put your money into, safe money situations like CDs, high yield money market accounts, fixed annuities, even a bond situation if you want to look at the market.
Bob, I appreciate your time today. It's always a great time to spend with you, so
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your insights. If you want to know ways to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, reach out now to start planning for your ideal retirement. For Bob Horn of NuVenture Financial Group, I'm Danielle Martin. Have a great day and an even better retirement.